my talk is titled, She Started Talking About Dependency Injection and You Won't Believe What Happened Next. And there's a subtext, which is not on the slide, 7 tips for improved technical speaking or something to that effect. Who am I? I'm Maia. And you can see my dead bird handle at the bottom there. But if you want to know where I'm at and what I'm doing, my website's in the corner of the slides. So if you need the slides, or if you need any of the information, or if you want to ask me some questions, you can reach me on any of my contacts on my website. Clicker. Right, dependency injection. So when I started out, now dependency injection is one of those topics, I don't know who's worked with dependency injection. No one really wants to learn it, right? When you have to build it into your app, it's like when you actually want to do something else but things are broken, or your startup's slow, or things are complicated, or you want to add tests, and so now you have to learn dependency injection. And it's not a straightforward thing, and every time I do it, it kind of slips out of my brain again, so I have to research it again. So what I did is at some point, I learned all about dependency injection. I said, aha, now I have it. Now I can explain this to an audience and they'll never forget how it works, and it'll be fantastic. Let me put my slides together. I'm going to do public speaking and I'm going to tell people about dependency injection. This thing says I'm running out of time. No, I'm not running out of time. Go away. Anyway, we'll just do it like this. And so I prepared my talk and I went and spoke to people about dependency injection, and it went something like this. So dependency injection is a software pattern that you use when you're trying to instantiate an object. And then you don't instantiate the object, you don't instantiate new objects in the object, and you can have some frameworks. Can you feel the effect? Right? So I'm lucky because this is the first talk, and you're all awake and you probably had coffee, but can you feel there's this like gravity pulling you, like you want to just sleep? So I did this talk, and this is what happened. Next slide. Yes. So there you can see me giving the talk. We have someone over here looking at their phone. We have someone openly sleeping, someone secretly sleeping, someone trying to escape out the back door. There I see someone running. And online, I couldn't see, but I know that people were watering their new houseplant collection while I was doing this. So I thought to myself, okay, so what's happening here? Why is this happening? And then I thought to myself, when was the last time I spoke to people and they didn't fall asleep? Or, more particularly, when was I speaking to someone and I wanted them to fall asleep, but they didn't? Okay, so there you see me trying to get a small human to sleep. I think cloaked heroes and monsters are not necessarily going to get them to sleep. Had I but known the power of the bullet slides, right? If I'd used an overabundance of bullet slides, maybe my evenings would have been much calmer at that point. So this made me think about this. Okay, so what is it actually that's happening here? Why does this work or not work? So I did some research, and the first stuff I came up with, people said your talk has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now, actually, that's not very useful. I mean, if you're trying to build a TCP/IP packet or a UDP packet or some other protocol, then yes, we have a marker, a beginning, and a middle, and an end. But there must be more to it than this. So the next lot of stuff I found out is that you need to have a kind of a story, an exposition, a conflict, a climax, a resolution. So how would this work for dependency injection? So right, I have an app, I want to test it. Oh no, my tests are horribly complicated. I have to instantiate so many objects to get this test running. What can I do? Let me read up about Coin. Oh, fantastic, this Coin library is really easy. Oh, look at that, I've got all of my things. I can have mocks for my tests, and I can have good test coverage. So that's a simple format of dependency injection according to this pattern. But there is actually a little bit more to this topic, right? The story of how you're going to get people to listen to you. So the next lot of research I found was that there are like 3 layers, like not the network layers of protocols, but there are like 3 layers in a talk. So the top layer is the layer that says what's happening. It's like, have an app without dependency injection, read up about the library, put it in, get a runtime crash because you set the thing up wrong, fix it, and then, so that's the physical layer, that's the actual things that happen. Next to that, there is, or underneath that, there's another layer, which is the emotional layer. So it's like, I'm a little bit frustrated, or the audience is a little bit frustrated because this is a complex, boring topic, how are we going to handle this? Oh no, the documentation is horrible, they refer to thermosiphons and coffee machines, I don't understand it, I find another library, this one's much easier, and now things are fantastic. So there's an emotional path going through this, and if you can find out what's driving your audience from an emotional point of view, you can use that in addition, and people will be more interested in what you're trying to tell them. And then the underlying layer is the message. So what is the actual message of the talk? The message of the talk might be, don't be scared of dependency injection. If you use the right framework, it's okay. Or don't try and use Dagger because you're going to get muddled, rather use Hilt. Or whatever the message is that's underlying that. And you can use those layers to get the actual message across which you want to get across in your talk. Now that picture with the tree with the mountain that I showed you, that's one of the classical story arcs that there are, but there are others. There's this one. It's the Lion King story, right? So there's the little cub, he's in the known world, and then he travels to the unknown world. So in this case, time is not going from left to right, time is going in a circle. And then he travels into the unknown world of Dagger and Hilt and learns a whole lot of stuff and comes back a better dependency injection coder. And this pattern is called the monomyth, but this is also not the only one. There's also this one. And this one is called Man in a Hole, or it's called Boy Meets Girl. And so this one goes something like this. I have an app, I decide, I don't need a framework. Ooh. Okay, I'll just keep talking. So Man in a Hole goes like this. I have an app, I don't need a framework. I'm going to code it myself. I know how to code a service locator. Oh, no. Ooh, it wants me to upgrade. No! Okay, Man in a Hole. So, I don't have a framework, I decide I'm not going to do a framework, I'm going to code it myself. So I code a service locator. Oh no, it's horribly complicated. I can't figure out which things are dependent on each other. And my startup is so long. This is awful. How can I fix this? I start reading up about coin. So now that's the bottom of the dip. I start reading about coin, I put coin in, and now everything's working fine. So that's Man in a Hole. The next one is Cinderella. Now, Cinderella is very much like Man in a Hole. You can see the pattern's the same. It's just that the cliffs are sharper. So this could be something like this. Okay, I know I'm going to use Dagger. Same story in the beginning. Using Dagger, trying to get it to build. Too many annotations, too complicated. Wait, I want an Android app. I'll just use Hilt. Things are much easier. So it's the same kind of pattern as Man in a Hole. The transitions are just sharper. Then there's another one. This one's called Sparkline. So this one goes something like this. I don't need dependency injection. Oh, no, I do. Things are too complicated. Oh, wait, I'll code it myself. It will be fantastic. Oh, no, my startup's too long. That's horrible. I can't do this. Okay, let me try Dagger. Oh, no, the annotations are driving me crazy. I can't do Dagger. It's too much. Oh, wait, let me try Hilt. Much better, but maybe, should I? Oh, let me try coin. So you can see what's happening here is it's going, there's something hopeful, and then the hopes get dashed. And there's something hopeful, and then the hopes get dashed. Now, any of these patterns you can use to carry the message or carry the physical information that you want to share. Okay, but there are many more. You know, I mean, those are just the known patterns. Let's see if I can tell you what these are. The one on the top, that one's start in the middle and go back to the start. The one on the right-hand side at the top is like you've got 4 different stories. Maybe it's hilt and dagger and service locator pattern, but they've got one shared common piece. The one at the bottom is I've got diverging ideas that converge again. The one on the right there is a false start. You do something, service locator pattern, it's horrible, reverse out and do something else. And the one on the bottom is like the inception story, where you've got one story, and then you jump down a layer in another story, and then there's something in the middle, and then it jumps back up. So you can see, I'm sure humankind has made many more stories, but these are just some examples. So the question I have for you is, at this point, what story do you think I'm using for this presentation? Spark. Okay? Any others? No. So, fantastic. You all got it right, because there wasn't one. I started with one, and then it kind of like evolved into something else, and then became something else. So that's the thing with a story, right? You can start with a pattern like that, but you don't have to stick to that pattern. If the story is a good story, you can modify it because it's your talk, right? Now, at this point, you're thinking, she said there were going to be 7 tips, right? Where are the 7 tips? You know, I mean, I came here, I read the abstract, she's not delivering on her talk. Now, actually, I actually started, but why is it clicking or not clicking? Okay, I need my tech assistant again. It says limited time Black Friday savings on the screen here. So the first tip you already got, right? Is this thing that there's a physical story and an emotional story, and a beginning and a middle and an end, and a message on top of that. So that would be my tip 1. My tip 2 is build a story, because that's what keeps people awake, right? My tip 3 is, I'm not here for you to see how much I know about dependency injection. I'm here because you have a question. You came here for the 7 tips. So, be your audience is the tip. Like, think what questions would your audience have? Think what things your audience, not what do I want to tell you, but what questions would my audience have at that point? And then immediately things are going to be more interesting because you're helping them solve a problem. So this is a fantastic tip. Tip number 4. If I'm expecting you not to be bored, I can't be bored. So I need to love the topic that I'm talking about. And that's the only way I can get people around me to possibly, potentially also not to be bored. I love this one. So this one goes something like this. It comes from communication theory. There's a pie chart on it. It's got pink and blue. So what this one is that people watch me. They look at my body language. They listen to my tone of voice. And what I'm actually saying, can you remember what I said just now about the pie chart and the blue and the green? I actually can't remember either. But what it says is that 55% of what people are watching and remembering is my body language. 38% is the tone of voice. So if I was talking like this, then maybe I'd be putting you all to sleep. And only 7% is the words. So that's my tip 5. So the tip 5 is really, on camera, use your face. On stage, use your body, use your voice, and then people will automatically be more engaged. This is a very cool one. So this one is a tip, it's called warm-up. So how this works is, right, if I'm talking to you like this, you can't hear what I'm saying properly. So what I need to do is, I need to get my neck to relax and my shoulders to relax. Also super important is that while I'm talking, my tongue is the thing that's making the words. So I'll show you like this. before warming up, before speaking, you do something like this. Why? Because it relaxes all these muscles in my neck, right? And if I'm prepared to do that in front of all of you, my talk's going to be fine. Like, I mean, that's the worst thing that I could do, right? And then the last animal there is the kangaroo. So that's to do with this. Feet flat on the floor. Do the giraffe thing and the lion thing. But if my feet are flat on the floor, then you're not going to get this thing while I'm talking, right? And that thing makes audiences seasick. I mean, even on a computer screen, it makes audiences seasick if I do that. So that's my physical warm-up tips. I'm on 6. I've got one more tip left. So this one is dodge bullets. So we saw that the bullets put you to sleep. Now, you can't always dodge the bullets in a talk, because sometimes you really need bullets. But like this one would be something like this. Directional acyclic graphs, right? That's the thing that the dagger word comes from. What does that mean? It's a directional graph that's acyclic. Now, that's what's in the bullets. Now, that's very, very difficult to kind of like grasp. So if you look at that diagram at the top, directional means it can only go from the top down to the bottom, so it's got a direction. Acyclic means it can't go in a circle. So that means the bottom thing is dependent on the middle two things. The middle two things are dependent on the top thing. So that would be like a diagram that you use to describe directional acyclic graphs as opposed to the bullets. Now this is a good slide for bullets, right? Because it's a summary of the 7 tips. And now, this is the slide that everybody takes a photograph of. So, you are welcome to take a photograph of the 7 tips, and then you'll get my website, and then if you wanted to ask me some questions on Twitter, you can. And that's me. So there's some slide links, and if you want to come find me on the Mastodon site, that's where you can get me. And there's the dead bird handle again for anybody who wants to get me.